Hello, welcome to Isaac Pearson's house. I'm Jim Colello. I'm a member of the Historical Society of Hamilton Township. And we're here today to explain about Isaac Pearson and his historic site, his house that he built in 1773, which is one of the many historic sites here in Hamilton Township. This house was built by Isaac in the year 1773. Those numbers are etched in the side of the western side of the house out of brick, which was a fairly common practice back then. Isaac built this house most likely for his wife Abigail, who he married in December of 1773. He was previously married to his first wife Elizabeth, who passed away prior to that, and they lived in a house at some other location. In 1773, Isaac and Abigail, along with Isaac's two sons, Robert and William, moved into this house. One may ask, how did Isaac have the money to build such a beautiful home? This was considered a mansion in 1773 because of its size, its construction material, which was brick, and the number of rooms in the house. Typically, the colonial house was a wood frame house, not made of brick. This has 2 stories with 4 parlors on the first floor and 4 bedrooms on the second floor. One of the features that is very interesting that exists from the day it was built is on the front wall is a little device known as a shutter dog. What that was used for was to hold the shutters back when they were open, hold them back against the house. Another interesting thing about the house is that there once existed a kitchen wing on the east side of the house. That is no longer there. That was demolished approximately 1940. We're trying to determine actually what it looked like so the Historical Society can rebuild it. So we'll have a complete house of Isaac Pearson. Isaac Pearson was what we would call today a politician. He held various offices in the township, in Burlington County. He was township clerk for a while here in Nottingham Township. He was a freeholder, and he was appointed as a delegate from Burlington County to the provincial congress that met in the colony. He derived some income from holding those offices. He also was a farmer, and he owned at one time approximately 1,200 acres. He grew various crops. We know he had livestock. We know for a fact he raised hogs. He had horned cattle, and they weren't the long horns like you see in Texas. These were short little curved horns on top of the cattle's head. And he had a peach orchard and an apple orchard on his property, which sale of all those items brought in income. Another business Isaac had was that he was a tavern owner. He built a tavern in 1765, which was known as the Pearson Inn. And that was located down on what was then called the Bordentown Road, near the bridge over the Crosswicks Creek. That eventually was moved and was situated at the White Horse Circle, and many people in the township may remember that as the White Horse Tavern. Prior to building this house, Isaac and his first wife, Elizabeth, lived on a house on the old Tyndall farm, which his father purchased from Mr. Tyndall and willed to Isaac. He lived there, and that's where his 2 sons, William and Robert, were born. And when his wife passed away, he then decided to build this house, most likely as a wedding gift for his new bride, Abigail. So he was born here in Nottingham, and he lived here in Nottingham all his adult life. This land, Isaac's land, saw military activity during the Revolutionary War. We know that prior to the Battle of Trenton, the Hessians were stationed in Trenton and also down in Bordentown. The access between the two, which was critical, was that drawbridge over the Crosswicks Creek. So we know Hessian soldiers crossed Isaac's land because periodically the group guarding the bridge would be rotated, in other words, changed. So new soldiers would come on, other soldiers would back up. And also, after the Battle of Trenton, we know some of the soldiers that were able to escape in this direction joined the soldiers that were here, and they traversed down to Bordentown. Isaac lived in this house for approximately 3 years. On a snowy morning in December of 1776, he mounted his horse and traveled north. We know he made it as far as Hightstown, where unfortunately he was killed under mysterious circumstances. We don't know why exactly. His body was brought back here, and Isaac is buried in the Pearson family plot, which is located next to the Pearson Memorial Church up near the White Horse Circle. We are now at the Pearson burial ground. After Isaac was killed in Hightstown, his body was brought back to his farm, and a coffin was made from boards that were taken from a barn that was under construction, and he was buried here in the family burial plot. Many of the Pearson family are buried here. Some of the headstones over time have been removed, but once that was done, a memorial stone was erected listing the names of those buried here. Thank you for visiting the Isaac Pearson House. I hope you've learned a little bit about Isaac and this historic site located right here in Hamilton Township. Thank you.